Headings here for an unusual review. The Vistascope 8mm is a baby anamorphic that has a very different design from other adapters. Keep watching for the explanation. In terms of performance, we're talking about a focus-through adapter designed for tiny film. For that reason, I switched the A7S Choose 2.2 crop mode as I couldn't get full frame coverage no matter what. By itself, this is not an easy to work with adapter. The magic happens when you add diopters in front of it. Due to its design, this adapter doesn't deliver oval bokeh and its flares are unlike others. This is a square adapter. Yep, you heard it right. This lens is square. Its design is based on a pair of prisms and mirrors that squeeze the footage by 1.5 times. This design is the cause for non-oval bokeh and flares that are non-standard. Old Delft in Holland made two versions of this Vistascope, or Delrama. There's this version, which is for 8mm cameras and projectors, and a bigger version for 16mm film. These adapters are focus-through, with focus locked at 4 meters or 400 centimeters as stated on the top of the lens, which translates to 12 feet all the way to infinity. What you do is you do all your rack focusing on your taking lens, and this has some leeway for rack focusing. This thing is tiny and it weighs only 105 grams. That's like 1/4 of a pound. For mounting it, I got a clamp from Jim at Rapido Technology, who's always a pleasure to work with. In order to attach diopters to it, I made a custom part that you can 3D print, and you slide it into the slot in front of the lens and embed a 58mm either UV or a step-up ring. So this gives you 58mm threads for diopters and lens caps. You can download the file for printing in the description of this video. The main issue with these adapters is that mirrors fade with time, so it's pretty hard to find one in perfect condition. Keep this in mind when you're looking for these adapters. Since these Vistascopes are so strange and restrictive with the baby size, they tend to go for rather cheap, between 150 and 300 bucks. And some of them even come with the original cases. You didn't actually expect this to be tack sharp, did you? I was quite surprised by how good the image looks. Once you have this lens fine-tuned, as I did on the previous video, it looks quite sharp. There are no streak flares at all. Well, sort of. Some streaks show up, but they are different. Plus, you also get some reflections from the sides, since they're not blacked out. I kinda like the dirty look it creates. Baby anamorphics will require you to go quite long on bigger sensors. On crop mode, that's Super 35 or 1.5 times crop, I was only able to clear a 2.4:1 aspect ratio past 50mm. That's why I shot the test video on 2.2 times crop. If you want solid numbers, you can check out my calculator and figure out your own setup. But yeah, I would recommend using this lens with a smaller sensor camera and definitely printing out the things, the piece to attach diopters in front of it, to make it more usable. Considering how much these Vistascopes cost, I would say that's a pretty good quality, and it's a worthy investment if you have the time to constantly swap out diopters. And a little patience to tweak it so it looks sharp. This whole baby talk freaks me out, so I'm happy to say this is it for now. I wanted to let you know that I was able to grab the big sister of this lens, the 16mm version, so I should have a review for that up soon too. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and join the crew over on Patreon to decide which video you want to see done first. I'm Untitled Chapter, and I'll see you next week.